Oh, what's up? What in the world? What's
Yeah.
good?
Can you hear me, Jay?
Yeah.
All right.
What's good with you?
Man, chilling, bro. Glad to be here with you.
For sure. I know we were supposed to get together anyway and link up right
Yeah,
before COVID hit. So I guess we could cross those T's and dot those I's with
right.
this session. Um I'm kind of wrapping this up, man. I don't know if you know, but just like probably like my last interview. So
I'm glad to be right there with you, man. Bless.
I'm just switching gears, man. I'm changing my focus up. I think I ain't gonna say it's over. Like I may do them again, but for now, I'm gonna try to put it on the back burner, which is okay.
Right. No, I learned a lot by watching your process a little bit. When I was initially grade do some of this, I realized I wasn't really prepared. After I started doing some research, I'm like, man, I need to invest in this. I need to do, some little things like to make it have, with the mic. Because my guy, he was on, he's like, yeah, I think it's a good idea, but you need to. That's why I was like, when you got your mic, I'm like, man, that makes a big difference.
Yeah, you gotta have mics, man. Whatever you're doing, I'm gonna tell
Right.
you. I'm gonna tell you one of my favorite mics. Is like the lavalier mic.
Uh-huh.
So, um, it was a little tedious with the lavalier mic because I'm kind of doing shooting myself. So it was like not a lot of times, but every so often I ain't hook it up right.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't check the levels to see if it was recording. So one time I recorded and I didn't have the audio. So um one time I was doing something for the news and they gave me a lavalier mic. I had my own and I guess they signal kind of knocked mine's off. So
Right.
but it do help. Like this mic right here costed me $150.
Right.
I would say stay away from the USB mics like those Yeti Blues and all of that stuff because I had bought one and it didn't even last 90 days. I think they got too many moving parts in them or something. So
Right.
um I bought I showed you the picture. So I got this is a regular mic that you could hook up to anything, professional mic, but it's only 150. And you got a interface and the interface communicates with the mic and the interface connects to the computer.
Right.
So
Yeah. The Scarlet.
yeah, so definitely get some mics, bro. Even if you're just doing a monologue, just talking to yourself, you know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? Just like, here's what I'm thinking, this is where I'm at. We kind of talked about that. Oh, can you give us a little bit of your background real quick?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. So basically, I ended up getting a degree in commercial design. And coming out, I really just start freelancing because I really didn't have it was hard really getting a job as a black male during that time.
what year was this?
Man, probably like 2001.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell them where you're from.
I'm originally from Evansville, Indiana, but I've been residing in Naptown, Indianapolis, Indiana.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've been
Um,
here for a while. This is basically like my home at this point.
okay. I seen you getting some a lot of recognition and I seen you kind of spreading your wings. That's kind of how we met, CCF.
Right.
I think you was just checking the landscape, seeing who else was out there and opening up yourself and building those relationships and say, I need to link with these guys and make, be part of the super friends with the black creators, which we are. So you want to talk
Exactly.
about some of that?
No doubt.
You want to talk
Uh,
about some of that? Like,
yeah.
because you said
So
there was no opportunities, and I guess you started. I'm assuming you started looking for other black designers and stuff like that. Was
yeah,
that
yeah.
is that safe to say?
Yeah, exactly. So my first, I was like, man, let me step out and let me connect. And I knew that I couldn't do it where I was at because it wasn't no conferences going around for creatives, let alone the mindset wasn't even there. I reached out, I went to Cleveland and I went to the Weapons of Mass Creation early on when it was first getting started. I think I was in the second year.
I know that.
Yeah. And so when I went there, it wasn't a lot of us. Me and my business partner Regina, man, we mobbed out. We You know, we went out, we reached out, we connected with the ones that, you know, with other designers that looked like us, that, you know, that was in the area. And then, you know, man, after that, the whole experience was still dope. You know what I mean? Because at
Where
that
was it at? Was it that was like back when Jeff Finley was doing it? Where was that at? You remember?
time,
Kinda.
can't remember if they switched to the theater. Because they switched venues once it started growing. Uh,
Yeah.
and so yeah, I was a part of, like, I seen that shift from the smaller crowd to it started growing. And
Mm.
then they started getting they had some nice little heavy hitters coming out the gate. You know, cats that I was reading about in like Illustrator magazine. You know what I mean? Because I was really one of those nerdy kids that wanted to stay up on the game. You know what I mean? So I was ordering the Photoshop magazines and Illustrator, getting them monthly subscriptions in.
Let's go back a tiny bit,
Yeah,
man, and
no
give
doubt.
me like your origin. We know you're a superhero now, but give me back your origin. How old are you?
I'm about to hit that fall. Oh, I'm an
Oh,
80.
4.
Yeah,
Okay, so you're a little bit behind me. Hit me back with your origin. You was always drawing graffiti. Was you doing any of
right.
that stuff? Hit me
Yeah,
back with that.
yeah, no doubt. So when I was younger, my mother and my grandmother, they really played with the ceramics when it came to the arts. They didn't really consider themselves artists, but um, for whatever reason, they dabbled in that. And so in the household, I was always around African, Japanese culture type art. And and also my grandmother had 7 kids, so my uncles was always into karate. So I was always around that influence. And so I seen a lot of that art growing up. And then growing up early, my mother put, you know, art supplies in my hand probably about 6 years old. And from there, I've always remembered being creative. I've always seen my mom doodle, sketch while she's on the phone, simple things like that. So I always stayed inspired and found humor in creating.
When did you have that eureka moment where you was like, that this is what I'm gonna do? Like,
Man, it was probably like about third grade, fourth grade.
really?
Yeah, it was like, because once I started seeing, because I was in a class where, you know, it wasn't a lot of us in it. You know what I mean? It was like, you know, I just happened to be blessed to go to a school that was a melting pot, but
Mm.
it still wasn't a lot of African Americans that was into the arts. So with me being exposed and winning those like little contests, and then getting onto a citywide project and win an award, like that's when I was like, okay, this could be real. I didn't know like how big it could be. The funny thing about it is I did get deterred off the journey a little bit. Just being a jack of all trades, messing with
Mm.
music, because music started really taking off for me, and so that kind of started. But the art still stayed with it, because after college, during that time frame, I was still designing album covers, and then
Okay.
when I started seeing the possibilities of, man, everybody need album covers, everybody need marketing and promotions, I started pulling back from the music and playing behind the role and started getting into that real heavy.
I want you to talk about like those influences, music. Name some big influences that was really sparking your creativity, your exploration into this, and talk about um, anything else that was kind of like you was kind of looking at. Was you into, like, I was big into comic books and stuff like that. So was you into comics? Was you into like paint me a picture of like the culture that you were surrounded that was influenced you, like that like that creative environment. You told me that you had the parents that gave you that, but then as you was getting older, you kind of on your own. So talk about that environment that was really getting you pumped up.
As a child, or moving from an adult perspective.
Just like in that when you had that aha moment, and
Okay.
then you kind of going through college. So you said you was doing the music. So I'm thinking like you might have been rapping or producing, or you was into the culture. So tell me, like, who was you looking up to? Like, this is the '90s, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like the late '90s and early 2000s, really.
Okay.
You know, um, man, really growing up. I mean, I was definitely, you know, on the Slick Rick. Uh, really, a lot of the East Coast rap. I bumped a lot of AZ coming up. Um, You know, I was one of those guys.
Yeah.
I was definitely into Wu, but being from the Midwest, you know, it was always the melting pot combination that was going on. I felt like my cousins on the West Coast didn't really experience what I experienced in the Midwest. growing up in the 80s and the 90s, or I say the 90s, yeah, the 90s and the 2000s really. But in general, like, you know, of course I bumped Bone. You know, I was on the Ice Cube. Ice Cube really influenced, you know, a lot of things because part of me was still in the streets growing up. I had one foot in and one foot out because my mother was a single mother. So eventually I had to kind of raise myself. I was a latchkey kid, but I
Okay,
was,
hold on. Let's jump into that. What was you doing, son?
yeah. So, man, man, I was, first it became, you know, we was out, you know, spray painting, graffitiing a little bit on the back streets. And then when I realized I had that freedom and when things got bad, we started doing, you know, petty crimes, you know what I mean? Stealing from the gas station,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and then eventually, you know, uh, breaking into people's homes, which, you
Yeah.
know, that ain't always a good thing. So, you know,
Um, I think I hate to cut you off, bro.
right.
Let's just say it was just kind of like a lack of stuff for you to be doing. Like to me, like that energy. Like you got this energy as a black male already, and you need to, you know, put that energy into something. So like if it's no mentors, there's no guys like us talking about here, bring that energy over here and put it in this Shopify page. That wasn't even a option
Exactly.
back then. So it's like you gone do something. The name, but like one art class. Was it that for
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Yeah, so I even remember a time period where art was starting to be removed from the school, and it was less activities going on, uh, less recognition going on in the art world, and it was just became, you know, just a part of a curriculum. It was nothing to do outside of that, and that was part of the reason why it was kind of hard for me to figure out what I want to do transitioning out of high school. And just luckily, I had a lady that had seen the potential in me coming out of high school and was like, you know what? Have you ever thought about doing graphic design?
Mm,
I said, what is that? And then when she started telling me a little bit, I'm like, man, dude, I've been looking at magazines my whole life,
mm.
fantasizing on the things I wanted in life. And like cars, you know, I was real heavy into the low riders
You had
at
the
one point.
you had
Yeah,
the Source magazine stacked up to the ceiling.
man, to the ceiling, bro. You know, the yo raps, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like yeah, so all of that was a big part of the influence. Like it still plays a role in some of my work, you know, like just using the textures and using the halftones and, you know, still, you know, because that's the era and it still feel good, still feel relevant.
How was your experience in school with your teachers? Was your grades? Was you the dopest? Was you use the highest in your accolades at the campus? Did the professors take you well?
Man, you know, it's funny because when I went to college, I switched gears. I realized like I had to work a little bit harder. Not that I didn't know anything, just certain people didn't give me information on the journey, and I had to sit back and accelerate at a different level than most of my other friends who parents had to tell them, do this, do this. I didn't have parents to kind of say, man, go make this move, go make that move.
Mm,
I had to figure that shit out. You know what I
mm,
mean? Unfortunately, you know, but it was beauty in it because, you know, as you growing, you start to, you know, your self-development is starting to find out that you growing and you realize that, you know, the more information you have, the more you can excel. So with my professors, one thing that I connected with Ron Wise, shout out to Ron Wise, he seen the potential in me because he would allow me to say, hey, Omar, normally we don't let students stay after, but, you know, you can lock up and I'll see you in the morning. Just bring me the key.
mm,
Because
mm.
he's seen, and then he would let me lead the class. So I started realizing I was more advanced than a lot of the students just because I had an art background and I figured out the tools. At that time, I think it was like Photoshop 2 or 3. It was very
Mm.
young, and so
Yeah.
you know, it was limited on tools, and it wasn't too hard to figure out. You know,
Did you? It's kind of like what happened with me. Um, I'm still struggling with this too a little bit. Did that ever change? Like, did you start chasing like the money and the status, or you know, you staying late? You wasn't getting paid to stay late, so you definitely doing it for the love. Did you
right?
ever get uh misplaced in that journey, or you was always like it's always been love? Or to me, I got sidetracked and was like trying to make my way up the corporate ladder and all of this stuff, and just it just turned into work for me.
Yeah, because at a certain point in your life, even though you start looking at your bank account, you like, man, hold on, I need a. So you start taking the corporate approach, and then you start losing a piece of yourself, not realizing that part of you that wasn't tainted by this ideal, you was better off because you was more creative. You didn't have nothing saying do this cookie cutter way. You was able to explore those different ranges that was really inside of you the whole time.
Yeah, did that happen for you, or you
Yeah,
was?
yeah. Well, not exactly. I had the ideal, so I never did get a chance to work like in a corporate setting as a graphic designer, but I had other jobs where I worked in a corporate setting, like in sales, you know what I mean? Or maybe a admin position or maybe a manager role. But those things taught me how to manage the business because I start understanding what level of discipline looks like on that end. And as far as like learning how to communicate to other people, other departments, that was another skill set that I picked up that I was like, at first I was like, oh, what's this going to look like? Something else. But really it became a blessing because I started learning how to connect all of those worlds and get the pieces to move the way I need them to move.
Dope. I love it. So we're gonna fast forward back and catch us back up to, so um that's a beautiful story. So you looking and checking the landscape and going out, and like you said, you mentioned weapons of mass creation. Like, take me from that point. Like, so you started meeting me, you started meeting Marshall and stuff like that,
Right.
and that kind of changed your perspective. And I don't know, like, anything you want to say about at that point?
Yeah. So, meeting you, Jacinda, and Marshall, and so many other names I can name at this time was like, it was game changing for me because my world, I didn't feel like I was on an island no more. I realized there was brothers that had that same type of energy and probably felt the same way I felt, and just knew like getting out was the key and going into these areas, And then social media really helped us really come together because we all was able to drop a little bit in the hat through a group or some way to stay connected. So I think, man, that's been the biggest blessing, and I feel like each and every one of y'all inspired me. You know what I mean? So, I feel like, hey, man, it's the universe is doing exactly what it's supposed to do. Because I asked for it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So it's a lot of
So,
cats in my city
so
that know about you that you ain't never met, and they ain't never really met you unless they seen you through social media. You know what I mean? Which
yeah,
that's the goal. You know what I mean? To let them be like, hey, man, you know about this brother right in the neighborhood, right up the street. You know what I mean? We just gotta participate in whatever's going on.
yeah. So you get this new energy, and you come back because your city is untapped, and then you put you put the city on your shoulders. Can you talk about the moves you was making and the changes you was making and the changes that you're still making? Like, I see you
Right.
doing stuff.
Exactly. So for me, I started off like earlier, just really just kind of looking at what everybody was doing. I always been a cat to try to do the opposite of what everybody's doing. So I started getting into, you know, uh, developing brands real heavy from a fashion end. And what I started realizing, there was an untapped market in just that. It was people that was doing it, but what didn't nobody have the design mindset. So what I started doing is start connecting with other creatives, sharing the game, sharing what I've learned through sourcing and manufacturing. You know what I mean? And I'm really just multiply pieces of me in a community. And I learned a lot from the cats that, I didn't know nothing about as far as uh, how to scale a business. You know what I mean? Those are things that, I start really learning now that I'm adding to my arsenal that is really going to change things generationally. Now the arts community now has grown with us because mentors, went out and found those mentors, like after going to the creative conferences, after talking to a Jacinda or you or Mr. Soul, you know really listening and applying those things, coming back. Now mentors are in place. Now we activating in the community, building, bringing other Black creators to the table, say, hey man, how can we do more together and generate, a community where we can be in a central location, or we can be doing a body of work in the community together. And that's actually happening. I think with everything with the COVID-19 and where the world's at right now, it kind of really forced all of that to come together. I even see the level of Black consciousness right now in my city changing. You know what I mean? People seem like they're a little bit more aware than they was before the COVID. It just shows you like how things can push agendas forward. You know what I mean? Because I was always wondering, when are we gonna get to a place? And let me add this too. Before all of this, the city was real dull. I didn't really have a lot of Black art out there. Now there's been initiatives to have more Black art. There's more Black art now out there in my city now than there's ever been. And I see the response that it's getting from people that don't look like us, because they're coming by and they telling me, because I'm working on a mural and I'm seeing the response. So the culture's shifting. And I took something from Maya Bailey when we was all together the last time. Was like, he talked about the ecosystem. So that's all I've been focusing on coming back, is seeing how I can play a role in this ecosystem, and just really delegating, you know, things that need to be done and not getting myself over consumed. And I started learning that by just kind of just going back to reading The Mastery by Robert Greene. And that played a big role in shifting my thinking. My boy Leif Taylor got me on that, and that just kind of shifted me. Like, okay, I understand. I had all these gifts and all these tools, but I wasn't placing them in the right places.
So, what else you reading?
Man, what else? I'm reading Copywriting by Russell Brunson's partner. I forgot his name right now. Don't give me the line. But I've been really trying to hone in on this ClickFunnels deal, because I feel like that plays a role in getting certain capital that I need to be able to fund certain projects.
You got to get the expert secrets too.
Yeah, I got that.
You got that.
Yeah. Because did you end up getting the black box? Because that's what I ended up getting, where it came with the expert secrets and something else, and then to give you all these little cool hacks.
No, I ain't get that. I just got the online joint straight to my iPad.
Right.
Salty. I don't think people really realize the severity of what's going on in the world right now. Like, we had an economic problem issue like in 2006 and 7 that was really crazy. That really kind of changed me. So, but right now it's even worse.
Yeah.
I mean, COVID is like spiking again. Like, people outside without their mask on. Like, and people still, like, I know somebody right now that's about to get furloughed. So whatever they want to call it, like, people still waiting on companies to pay them, bro. I don't think people really understand, having some type of entrepreneur type skill set, man. I don't care if it's like making lemonade and selling it. Like, you want to talk about multiple streams of revenue and that mindset at all? I want to touch on anything I said?
Yeah, man, I know it's so important. A lot of people think, that it's hard. It's really not. You just got to get one thing going. And once you get a little bit of that, even if you're just making $50 off of it a month, that's all you need to get it going. Then you just keep feeding it. And I realized, like, I had to even unlearn and relearn, because I'll come from the industrial mindset as well. And so, being a person who, listened to Nip for many years, I was hearing the shift that was going to take place. And just the stuff that, we just be reading just in general as creatives. You can hear some of the things that was moving it, like Seth Godin or Seth Gooden.
Golden. I think it's Golden, but
yeah. I'm a big fan of his work. And just listening to him throughout the years, I knew the shift was coming. So I had already start taking e-commerce courses, taking social media marketing courses, so I can be able to be a part of the shift. And it's funny, we hear, and all those things that people was like, man, you doing too many things. Oh, and I start feeling bad about being a jack of all trades. I'm like, this is crazy. I shouldn't feel
people
bad
always, bro.
Yeah.
I just had a conversation with my man, like, before you called. Like, I had 2 phone calls before this.
Mm-hmm.
So, nobody got their shit together. but people are experts on you and what you're supposed to be doing and how you're supposed to be doing. I didn't never set up an online store, never had a web page, never nothing, bro. But everybody's an expert and know everything about you. Well, oh, you need to be doing this and you shouldn't be doing like none of that shit together. You ain't got an LLC. You can't help me with my SBA loan. You can't help me with no grant writing. You don't have have no connections, bringing nothing to the table. But then want to analyze. I mean, come on, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like it killed me, man. So anyway, okay, I got you now.
Okay.
Internet connection is unstable. Is that mine? But go ahead. You good. What was you saying?
No, I said I think I was touching on like people used to make me feel bad about being a jack of all trades. And I started realizing, nah, those was supposed to be the randomness that I was supposed to help me elevate because I was supposed to prepare. Because here's at the end of the day, once I know that skill set, I know what goes into that and I know how much I should be paying out. I know how much, how much time it would take to get something done. And now I can delegate that. I know how to now interview the person that I want for the job because, hey, I put myself through it or personally experience being a part of that environment to know what it looks like to say, you know what? Okay. And I started realizing, man, that's really the little hacks in the game to advance yourself is just pay attention to the details. Go through experience. Go work for a non-for-profit. Go work with a grant writer. Just sit still. Just understand. Be present. And you'll learn so much. And that's really been what my journey been like because I come from a background, both parents was uneducated. Actually, my daddy might have been the first child out of slavery. You know what I mean? Like I had an older pops. So, for him to not have an education, probably had a sixth grade education, he was still wise as far as, being, street smart, things like that. But he was nowhere near what we're talking about now. He couldn't even imagine what the level of what the type of conversation we're having right now.
That's dope. Love it. Help me out. Mm-hmm. I'm 17. I'm kind of creative. I'm in high school. Like, what should I be doing right now?
Man, if you kind of creative, you need to be really using social media to see what's popping, seeing what people's liking right now. And then look at how you can take that simple concept or ideal that's kind of taking shape and people making money or it becomes a good ideal and figure out how can you take your ideals and make it have that same light, be a purple cow in a sense. And
what's a purple cow?
Man, being a purple cow, good question. So we already know, there's a book actually on this, but we'll talk about the short version. The goal is to be a purple cow. We know what a black and white cow is. We've seen that our whole life. That's normal. In order to be a purple cow is just to take a different route. And we know that if we was driving up the road and we seen a purple cow, we're going to get out. We're going to take pictures. We're going to call our cousin, our auntie, our uncle. And we're going to be saying, man, look at this. We even going to be styling, knowing us, right. Black folks, we're going to be chilling, kneeling, and doing all of that with the cow. But that's what you want to become. You want to become a conversation piece to the world. So now whatever you put out there, it can elevate. You know what I mean? Those are little shock factors that you kind of disrupt the whole system, when there's a lot of noise going on.
Right. So I think what you're saying is, I know that's what you're saying is like researching, but you kind of was saying it's like before that. So you was kind of saying like being a jack of all trades, looking at what other people was doing, researching and finding out like who's doing it and reaching out to those people too, like seeing who's accessible and seeing, okay, I want a store, what do I do? Like, okay, Shopify. So I need to get on YouTube and see what's Shopify. As soon as I start seeing Shopify, I'm seeing other websites. Okay, so now I can compare those.
Right.
I think like, I don't know. I think like being designers, we just deadly, man, because we trying new stuff all the time. So doing something different is nothing really like, all right, I need to learn how to do web pages. They didn't teach us how to do web pages when I was in college. I was already graduated.
Right.
So I ain't started doing web pages till after school. You
Yeah.
know, I think like in reading too, like I just had some kids that I was like teaching online, and I just give it to them more than I'm supposed to be showing them Adobe Spark, but out of that hour, probably like 30 minutes is just all strategy. It's like, this is
Yeah.
what you should be doing. This is what you should be reading. This is what you should be. I think a lot of kids are just kind of waiting to graduate from college. I'm like, you 50, you got 4 years. Like, what you gonna do? Waiting
Mhm.
for that to happen. You know what I mean? Like, so I think it's our duty, man, as parents. Like, you got young kids underneath you, yes?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's our duty is to like give them the game, you know, about business, about e-commerce, about all of this stuff. I'm rambling, I'm sorry. Any
No, no,
advice on like the e-commerce game? Talk
man.
about talk about this. Like what's the missing thing that you see with e-commerce? And I know it's the funnels, I know it's upselling, I know it's like the script, I know it's all of this because this is what I'm reading in the books.
Right.
So can you tell me what's the missing piece that you see with people doing e-commerce? They're just setting up a page. Here, go to my page and buy my stuff.
Right. Okay. Good. Good. So with the e-commerce, all you need is just one product. The one product is really a product that you believe or you feel like, man, hey, I just want to give it a shot. It can start with a simple design that you came up with and just throw it on the t-shirt. And I always say, man, start with friends and family, start with the people you know. Get that momentum through that because a lot of people are already going to support you that's in your circle. If they don't, keep it moving because you're going to hear no your whole life. You're just going to have to focus on who's saying yes. But in the process of while you developing that, you want to put yourself in a pool of different groups on social media to be able to, you know, find the opportunity to show your product, showcase your product, or just to be a part of conversation to see what's going on and seeing how people are moving their products. Like I'm a part of different groups on Facebook and LinkedIn, so I can always see what's relevant, what's new coming around the corner. Sometimes I'm already a part of a different group that's way more advanced than another group. And you can kind of see the trends and when it's happening just because you're going to those groups to kind of find information so you can make the next play. Um, One of the things I would say as you get the site up and get it going is gathering those email lists, figuring out how to retarget, and that can be the power because if you can get people to come there and buy once and you get them if you get a person to come there and buy more than once, you pretty much got a person that might be a part of your tribe. You just keep feeding that. I truly believe I see it working all the time. I got a particular brand where this tribe has tremendously grew, and then we like I have a business partner in this particular deal. We seen so much potential. We went ahead and trademarked the name, a particular name, because we seen that it was working, and we was like, man, you know what? Let's just trademark this because if it blows, then we'll be at the forefront of all this. So we just been keep feeding that monster with that small project itself, and all we doing is just doing t-shirts and hats. That's it.
Elaborate on the culture and the tribe, what you're talking about. Why is this so important?
Man, it's so important because, you know, and it took a while to figure that out. Like, you know, reading expert secrets and just kind of making mistakes and doing things. Like, we knew that, you know, we had to have a charismatic leader at the forefront that played into the brand story, the brand identity.
The
Once we
story,
had that,
what's it called? The story, the hook.
yeah, exactly. Once we had that, um, we realized that he had an audience, and then we just figured out how to put everything together. And what we did, all they needed first, it was just through LinkedIn and through Facebook. All we needed was a website for people to come and buy and keep putting out information. Because what we did, we developed blogs that made sense to the tribe that we were speaking to, and we just kept feeding them content. They start sharing their stories, and we start sharing their stories through our website, through Twitter, all of those little things. And then next thing you know, people are just coming to the site buying. Here's the crazy thing
Elaborate. Hold
about
on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Oh, elaborate more on the tribe, bro.
okay. So the tribe is a niche. It's really a niche group of people who really embody what we're about with this particular thing, with the story. And it focuses on leadership and educators being fit. I'll tell you the name of the organization is called Fit Leaders. And so that particular tribe are people who are entrepreneurs, educators, who live a very vigorous lifestyle, meaning that they're dealing with high stress, just in environments where they got constantly redirect. So our mantra, what we talk about is just staying fit, kind of alleviates that stress. So progress equals happiness. So all of those members talk about how, working out, doing this and being part of a group is important because it gives them self accountability. So all we did was feed that ideal. And the idea is now becoming a bigger tribe and more educators across the, man, we got t-shirts overseas in multiple countries right now that people have purchased. We never met these people a day in our life. It's all through regurgitating everything that we do back into social media and being part of other smaller groups.
Oh, let me ask you this. Are you paying for Facebook ads?
Not yet. That's what I was going to tell you. We now have made a decision. We're going to amp this up because we've been doing so well and we done made thousands just through this organic process. We like, man, let's go ahead and turn it up. Let's go ahead and increase, the number of, of sales that we already got coming in. And here's the cool thing about what we're doing that all young creators need to understand. We don't own one product. We don't have no inventory land in the house. We are working with other companies who are creating these products for us. All we do is come with the design. We lay everything out in the software that they provide for us, and they print out everything. It's just.
Is this local? Is this local vendors you're using?
No, not local vendors. I'll tell you the company because I think it's important for young creators to know. It's printable.
Let me ask you this. Hold on. Before you get into that, did any of that, with COVID kind of shut down shipments and kind of delayed stuff, did that affect you at all?
Yes, it did. But the power of communication was the key to all of that. Really just being transparent about what's taking place. Once I talked to the vendor and they told me what was going on, or they would send out emails to keep us relevant with what was taking place at the warehouses, I translated that information back to the people that was purchasing. And some people have already made purchases that have been waiting 3 weeks. But what I would do, from what I did for those individuals, was send them a coupon code and also told them, we apologize for the delay. Most people already understood because they're dealing with the same thing we're dealing with, but that little bit of communication helps ease that and make them a return customer. And actually, the cool thing, as an example, somebody was already went through, their package didn't come for almost a month. They went back and still bought something else. And once they got their package, once they seen the quality and seen the evidence of the product, they was like, oh, we're ready to get something else. We're all in. They sent a personal email and everything.
Nice. Let me ask you this: like, what type of content are you putting out? Are you putting out videos? It's obvious that you got testimonies. Are you showing these testimonies? Is it just conversations in these groups? Is it like, tell me the content that you're putting out to get this traffic organically?
Okay. Now I know there's multiple ways of doing it, but with this particular model, this is what's been working. So the people who've been buying the gear come back into the groups and they rocking the gear and they're talking, having conversation. Now it becomes a thing like everybody's got to get their particular fit leaders particular wear and put it on because now that's the tribe. So I feel like what's happening organically, the tribe is speaking. They're letting us know like, hey, we're, the conversation is happening. Plus, all we doing is regurgitating the goals that they're setting out. We'll put it back out in information and we'll make sure.
Example. I'm sorry. Give me an example.
Okay. So say somebody completed, they getting married, they getting ready for a 10K, but they did 6 miles that day and they're closer to their goal. Well, we make sure we celebrate that with the group, with the people that's already following us, and we giving that fit leader a shout out. We want them to understand they got huh?
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We just want them to know that we paying attention and that we sharing it with the rest of the group. And I think that makes a big difference because those people have a level of accountability because we're putting that out there and they're sharing it as well.
What I love about this is that being a designer, there's so many other sub markets besides the shirts and the hats.
Right.
I mean, it's supplements, it's meal plans. It's you doing anything else with that too?
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. So right now, one of the business models that we about to add to this component, we found the software and we found the platform to where now we got certain fit leaders who are certified trainers already where they're at. So they need to supplement their income because of what happened to COVID-19. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna invest into licensing for this program, this software, and we're now gonna say, hey, if you certified, you could put a whole fitness program together using our software, and you can manage all the people you want with no cap all across the country. All we're going to do is create a funnel and bring them into the pool, and that's how you'll get your new clients. You don't even have to work as hard no more. So that's the new business model we're trying to implement as we go moving forward. And then also thinking about when people come on board, put them in a position where we send them a Fit Leaders t-shirt, as you know, letting them know, hey, thank you for being a part of the team and tribe so we can help grow it. So I'm thinking about other marketing strategies to kind of implement when they sign up. You get your Fit Leaders package, comes with it. Also look at, and what we also noticed too, in most cases, when we set this up, most people who are certified trainers, they're going to make more money on this end with us than they would if they worked for a gym.
That's nice.
So that's and then it's an app. It's also an app. So every day a person can wake up, get with their trainer. It's got a built-in meal plan that you can move around, already set, a built-in calendar, and then that person can work out, and the trainer can personally send them a video, conversate with them, set up times and all of that. So we just been playing with it, tweaking it, like seeing how it works, getting with the company, kind of talking about what are the capabilities, learning a little bit more about the software and getting more educated at the same time.
That's dope, man. Thank you for sharing that. What's next for you, G? Like you definitely a man of many talents.
Yeah.
Is it mastermind groups coming? Is it some funnels for your services? Is it some consulting? Is it some helping people build up their own e-commerce? Like you a resourceful dude. What's next for you?
So what's next for me is doing something for the culture. I got a brand um, called Elevated Culture, and really, I want to build a vertical platform that allows the culture to come in and take advantage of all the things. Meaning that you'll be able to come there and get books from authors from different places that be like, instead of going to Amazon, well, guess what? If the culture's right here, if this is where the culture's at, I'm going to connect with all these different creatives and these authors. I'm going to be like, hey, I got the platform. Let's just feed it. And I'll make sure the profit margin is worth it for them to come on and be like, man, this is a no-brainer. You know what I mean? And just grow that whole brand as a lifestyle brand. There's certain things that I want, and there's certain things that I know that I don't want, that I'm like, I'm cool on that. I want to make this model a little bit different. But right now, I'm going to grow it organically because I got a few creatives around me, and they already said, hey, I'll chip in. Just tell me the ideal concept, and I'll just put something together, and we add it in, and then, we'll make everything work. But the goal is you already got the Amazon. The good thing about those platforms, they already got buyers there. They already got credit cards. This is going to be something that's going to have to grow organically. And like you said, we're going to have to build little groups and little tribes all over, just like what we did for Fit Leaders. But all I'm doing is just repeating what's already working. But this is going to be a more lifestyle brand. And I feel like I haven't seen that thing for us that we can be like, man, hey, that's us right there. That speaks to the culture. You know what I mean? And you know what you're getting. You ain't gotta go over here and piece something together. Nah, it's here. I haven't seen that. I kind of want to do something that kind of speaks. I'm gonna tell you the closest thing. Let me just say this. I've seen a lot of brands do what I'm talking about well, but it was for their culture. I haven't seen it for the Black culture, is basically what I'm seeing. So that's the next move. I'm really getting into patterns and textiles. That's my thing. I love textures. I really want to move into the interior design space. I want to be respected in that. You know what I mean? But, one thing I have learned through this journey is you're going to always play this role in being a student. I kind of want to step back and just allow the parts to move around, because I got so saturated into the just working. I done created so many avenues for other people, made them very wealthy in their own right. They doing, I mean, not like millions of wealth, but they didn't touch some bags, you know what I mean? Some thousands, 100,000s at least off of a body of work that I've been created. So that told me I need to reciprocate more of that energy in myself, because a lot of the things that they're doing, rather they go hire somebody, I say, man, you know what? We need to hire somebody just for this. Just that consultant piece, telling them and them making that investment, help them elevate a leg up in the business. And I personally had clients come back and say, man, I would have never knew that if you didn't tell me. And that gave me a leg up in the business. So figuring out that balance, consulting is definitely an area that I want to tap into, because it just changes everything. I watch some of our peers, or people that we cool with, are now doing consulting. They doing well. You know, it's a grind, but you got a little bit more freedom.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate you, son. How can we find you?
Man, Instagram, really, you can Google Omar Rashan, Rashan. You can Google that. I'm pretty much, you know, you can find me easy through that.
Cool. Thank you, bro. I appreciate you.
Right on. It's
anything else? I'm gonna end it on that note, but we could keep talking. You know what? Until this stop. We need to have a mastermind group, bro.
We do, Jay.
A high ticket offer where you can come in to this conversation right here.